Did you know that one of the most iconic poker films, Rounders,
No Limit Texas Hold'em is the Cadillac of poker.
wasn't just a product of Hollywood imagination? Behind the legendary bluffs and nail-biting hands, there's a true story that most people have never heard. Rounders was born out of the real underground poker scenes, where high-stakes games were played in secret back rooms. And the stakes weren't just chips, they were lives. And the characters? They're not just fiction. They're inspired by real players who lived on the edge. Stay tuned, because what started as a gritty poker hustle became a film that redefined the genre. And the journey from reality to the big screen is just as thrilling as the movie itself.
Most of us don't have the stomach for that life.
Let's rewind to the early 90s, long before poker became a staple on ESPN and online platforms. In those days, poker wasn't seen as a glamorous profession. In fact, it was more of a subculture, played by a select few in dimly lit basements and smoky bars.
This is not Vegas, this is underground.
But amidst this underground world, a real-life story was unfolding that would eventually inspire the movie Rounders. It all began with two young writers, Brian Koppelman and David Levien, who were both fascinated by the allure of high-stakes poker. Koppelman, in particular, had first-hand experience in the world of underground poker. As a college student, he found himself drawn into the world of illegal card games in New York City. These games were far from the glitz and glamour of Vegas. They were dangerous, unpredictable, and filled with colorful characters who had everything on the line. Koppelman's experience wasn't just a casual interest. He became deeply involved, learning the ins and outs of the game, and more importantly, the psychology behind it. He saw how poker wasn't just about the cards. It was about reading people, outsmarting your opponents, and sometimes making the toughest decisions of your life. The more he played, the more he realized that this world was filled with stories waiting to be told. Around the same time, Koppelman met David Levien, a fellow writer who shared his passion for storytelling. Together, they began crafting the script for Rounders, a film that would delve into the life of a young law student, Mike McDermott, who gets pulled back into the world of underground poker to help a friend.
Don't tease me.
Perhaps the most significant real-life influence on Rounders came from a man named Johnny Chan. While Johnny Chan makes a cameo in the film, playing himself as a poker legend, his presence in the movie is far more than just a nod to the poker community. Chan's success in the 1987 and 1988 World Series of Poker helped ignite the public's interest in the game.
Yes, he's going all in, and Chan has him. Johnny Chan, the master.
Koppelman and Levien were fascinated by Chan's journey, how a player could go from the underground tables to becoming a world champion. His rise to fame provided a blueprint for Mike McDermott's own journey in Rounders, a young man who dreams of making it big in the poker world, despite the odds stacked against him. As Koppelman and Levien worked on the script, they continued to immerse themselves in the poker culture, interviewing real players, studying their habits, and understanding their motivations. One of the more interesting stories they uncovered was about a group of young poker players who operated as a team, using their combined knowledge and skills to dominate underground games. This concept of teamwork and shared strategy made its way into the film, subtly influencing the way Mike approaches his own games. But getting the film made wasn't easy. Hollywood wasn't exactly clamoring for a movie about poker. Studios were skeptical that a film about card games could hold the attention of mainstream audiences. It took a lot of persuasion and belief in the project from Koppelman, Levien, and the film's producers to get it greenlit. One of the key turning points was casting. When Matt Damon and Edward Norton signed on, the project gained serious momentum. Damon, fresh off Good Will Hunting, brought star power and a relatable everyman quality to the role of Mike McDermott. Norton, known for his intense and often unpredictable performances, was the perfect choice to play Worm, Mike's troubled friend who drags him back into the world of high-stakes gambling.
You know what cheers me up when I'm feeling shitty?
What?
Rolled up aces over kings.
Once the cast was in place, the production team worked hard to ensure the film's authenticity. The poker scenes were meticulously planned and choreographed to reflect real strategies and tactics used by professional players. The filmmakers consulted with poker experts to make sure every detail was spot on, from the way the cards were dealt to the way the players interacted at the table. But the creation of Rounders was more than just making sure the cards were shuffled correctly. Koppelman and Levien wanted to get inside the minds of the characters, to show not just the game, but the psychological warfare that unfolds during high-stakes poker. They studied the behaviors of poker legends, understanding how their calm exteriors often masked inner turmoil. The film captured this beautifully, particularly in the climactic showdown between Mike McDermott and Teddy KGB, where every gesture, every glance, carries the weight of a potential fortune. The accuracy of Rounders wasn't limited to the poker scenes. The film also tapped into the culture surrounding the game, the loyalty and betrayal, the hunger for victory, and the devastating consequences of loss. The writers created a world where poker wasn't just a game.
How do these players even last this long?
Don't know.
I mean, it's just so sick.
It was a way of life. This commitment to authenticity was key to the film's success, making it resonate with both hardcore poker fans and casual moviegoers. Yet, despite all the effort poured into making the film as realistic as possible, Rounders was not initially a box office smash. It opened to decent reviews, but didn't set the world on fire. But something interesting happened over the next few years. As online poker began to explode and televised tournaments like the World Series of Poker captivated audiences, Rounders found a second life. The film became a cult classic, a must-watch for anyone who dreamed of going pro in poker. Suddenly, scenes from the movie were being referenced by players in real games. Phrases like,
"Pay him. Pay that man his money,"
became part of poker's lexicon. Professional players began citing Rounders as a major influence on their careers, and it wasn't uncommon to hear that the film was responsible for igniting their passion for the game. The cultural impact of Rounders extended beyond poker tables. It influenced other films and TV shows, and its portrayal of the poker world helped change the public's perception of the game. Poker was no longer just a pastime for gamblers. It was a mental sport, a battle of wits that required skill, strategy, and nerves of steel. Behind the scenes, however, there's another layer to the Rounders story. Koppelman and Levien didn't just stop at one movie. They were approached multiple times about creating a sequel, especially after the film gained its cult following. There were rumors of scripts being drafted and ideas being floated, but for various reasons, a follow-up never materialized. Still, the writers have hinted that they'd be open to revisiting the Rounders universe.
Yeah, but it's always just very much the ether for some reason. This has been talked about. You know, we've talked about it with Matt. We've talked about it with the other actors, with John Dahl, who directed the first one and who's directed many Billions episodes. And it's just something, for various reasons, that has a hard time coming to fruition.
Especially given how much the world of poker has evolved since the original film was released. And here's something you might not know. Rounders also had an impact on the real underground poker scene. After the movie came out, the allure of high-stakes, backroom games grew even stronger. People who had never played a hand of poker were suddenly interested in finding these hidden games, hoping to experience the rush of winning big in a secret world. Of course, the reality wasn't always as glamorous as the film portrayed, and many found themselves in over their heads. But that's the power of a good story. It makes you believe that you too can beat the odds. But what happened to the real-life figures that inspired the movie? The underground poker scene that gave birth to Rounders continued to evolve. Some players rose to the top, becoming legends in their own right, while others weren't as fortunate. The risks of playing in illegal games didn't just involve losing money. There were real dangers, law enforcement crackdowns, shady characters looking to exploit others, and even violence. For some, the game cost them everything. One of the most fascinating aspects of Rounders is how it serves as a time capsule for a period just before poker exploded into mainstream culture. Today, poker is a billion-dollar industry. But back in the 90s, it was still a shadowy world for most people. Rounders captured that world just as it was about to change forever, making the film not just a piece of entertainment, but also a historical document of sorts. Rounders isn't just a poker movie. It's a slice of poker history, capturing the grit and glory of a world that most people never get to see. From the underground games that inspired the film to the real players who lived on the edge, Rounders brought the high-stakes drama of poker to the big screen in a way that still resonates today. Whether you're a seasoned player or just someone who loves a good story, the journey from the real world to the film world of Rounders is one that shows just how powerful poker, and the stories behind it, can be. If you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to check out other videos on the channel, where we uncover more fascinating stories and controversies from the world of poker. There's a lot more to explore, so stick around and see what else we've got in store for you.
Pay that man his money.